Begin Self-Publishing episode number 54, Using Google for Business with Martin Shervington.
Interested in self-publishing but don't know where to start? Want to get your book onto Amazon? Want to hold your paperback book in your hands? Learn how on the Begin Self-Publishing podcast with your host, Tim Lewis.
On today's show, I'm lucky enough to have Martin Shervington, who is an internationally renowned marketing expert specialising in areas to do with Google. I was lucky enough to meet him at Social Media Marketing World. So now on to the interview. Right, hello Martin.
Hello Tim.
Why is it important for people to think about Google when they think about online business?
So I'm Martin Shervington. Google has been a passion of mine for a long time. I'm a small business advisor for Google. And I'm a blogger, which I guess is probably the most relevant piece for a lot of people that are listening that are writers and looking to promote their material. So why is it important? It's Google, isn't it? It's Google. People are using Google products and services every day. So let's start with one product and people will go, hold on a second. That's not what I was thinking. I was thinking about getting sales or marketing. Google Drive. I use Google Drive with my team. I use Google Drive myself for putting all of my ideas, my thoughts into a place where somebody else can then go in and edit, or that I can have my assistant go in and then take that across into the website. So a Google product is the center of my writing world, really. And then we come to the website, and as soon as the blog post has been published, then I've got the social sharing buttons and it goes across onto social media. So then the website becomes the center, the home base for all of my outreach. And the reason why I started at this point, Tim, is that I think that people, if they build a map of what activities they're doing and how they can help other people find the content, find the things, find the passions that they have, then everything else starts to fit into place a lot easier, particularly when you start to come to social media and building a community around your content and around your brand.
Okay, so when people talk about things like SEO, which is search engine optimization, what is that and what does it matter?
Yeah, so if you are posting, and we're talking particularly about content, so you're posting a blog post, what happens is Google indexes that content and considers whether to show more people or how many people to show. And let's say you have the most relevant answer on how to cook French waffles, if there's such a thing. I have no idea if there's French waffles. But let's say you've created a blog post on that subject matter. If Google look at that and go, this is a really good blog post, in other words, it has enough words and maybe it has related imagery, and then it has social engagement around it, in other words, people have shared that and told other people about that, then it's likely that that will get indexed in a way that more people will find it, because Google wants the most relevant answers to appear in search for the most relevant people. So part of what you do is create content that can then serve Google with the answers that it's looking for. So to do that, very often I write using the Google Keyword Planner. And I go and check out how many people are talking about or looking at different subjects and get the statistics from that. And you find this in the Google AdWords interface. And I find that, let's take communication skills. You go, okay, well, 4,000 people last month were looking for that within the UK, or 20,000 were looking for that across the world. I'm going to write an article that is the best article around that subject. Then I share it across social. I've built a community around that, so there's people that share it on. Google then get the signal that this is a good article for more people to see, and I get traffic that then comes from organic search.
And when you say it's in the AdWords part, you don't need to pay for AdWords, do you?
No, you don't. You have to have an account, and then you just sign in, and under Tools, on the upper right-hand side, then there's a little drop-down and it says Keyword Planner. And as it happens, I've just done a course for lynda.com, which is a LinkedIn company, on AdWords, which will come out very soon. So there's even a free month that people can sign up for and check it out. But AdWords is a piece of the puzzle as well.
Yeah. Okay. So how could somebody use something like Google Collections or one of these other parts of Google Plus to promote something like a book?
So right now, there's an opportunity with people who are looking at Google Plus as a social outreach for their content to find those that relate to that subject matter. So let's say that you're into flower arranging, or you're into IT optimization, or website optimization, or you're into a particular location and that you have passion about your area. Each of those can become a vertical of content or a collection of content. And what's happening is Google have got a process at the moment called Google Plus Create that features those collections and shows them to people that Google thinks are going to be interested in them. So let's say you create a collection. I'm in Bath at the moment, so I create a collection just on the city of Bath. And Google then, if I submit this and was accepted within that, Google would promote that, and I get lots of followers who are interested in seeing the pictures or the stories or, the people around this particular location. Now you can apply this across any vertical. And I think that that's one of the opportunities in social, is that is getting promoted by the platform. As it happens, I have been promoted by Google. I have 1.3 million followers on that particular platform and on my collections. And even though that opportunity is gone, because that was the one that was there 4 years ago, the new one is getting a collection featured and having lots of relevant followers on a particular collection. And in fact, I don't know if you want to link to it, Tim, I have a free course. I used to charge for this. I've just released it publicly, 60 minutes long, which is very similar to the presentation you saw on collections. If people want to watch that as well, we can give them the link.
Okay, yeah, well, that's fine. Let me know after the show and I'll put it in the show notes on beginselfpublishing.com. And I'm sure they could track it down on your website.
I think it's on the YouTube channel, but yeah.
Okay, in terms of advertising on Google, what are the best tips for small self-publishers and other people promoting books when considering this?
It's an interesting one, because what's the best approach? It honestly depends, and I would actually say that for a self-publisher, I wouldn't, or even for anybody promoting books actually, I wouldn't start there. I would look at starting to build a community around your content that are giving you feedback that the content that you're writing is the right content for them. And I would do that via social. I do that via Twitter. I do that via Facebook. I do that via LinkedIn. I do that via Google+. Find those 10, 20, 30 people, nurture that real small micro community and start serving them the content. The reason why is everybody, I've written 7 books, I think it was. I was published by Penguin and Dorling Kindersley, and I wrote a section of Lord Robert Winston's book Human years ago, and I've been around this space for, how many years now? 17 years. And I've seen how it's changed, and I'd say that AdWords isn't the current starting point. What you want to do is find that community that is feeding back to you, I love this stuff, and they start to spread the word. When you've got that, then I think going to AdWords and starting to think, okay, well, who is looking for what, which is the search side, or with display, how do you position your books, your content in a way which appeals to people looking at subject matters? For instance, let's say you put a display ad, which is a Google AdWords thing, on websites that are relating to certain subject matters. Let's say you're into art and craft and you've got that flower arranging book that you've just written. Then you may well get clicks, and you may well have people visit the site, but you will also get a lot of attention that you're not necessarily going to turn into traffic, because they weren't looking for your book. They were looking at another site relating to that subject matter. So what I'd say is don't rush out on AdWords until you've got a little bit of a base, because I really don't like seeing people go down the wrong path with AdWords, because they tend to do it once and then don't do it again. It's much better to build the community. And then what would be great, Tim, is a model that's created for people on what works using Google AdWords. And I haven't done that. I haven't seen that for publishers. And then that just needs to be written up. This is the process. And then instead of people having to learn AdWords, what works for them, have experts that have tried and tested and failed and worked out, and then have the model. That to me is much more exciting for somebody, because they can follow and be much more likely to succeed in their campaigns.
So it's something that you would suggest that if people do, they either hire professional or they do some sort of course on it.
Yeah, if you use a professional, then you should be able to do it well. The only thing I say on that is it depends on your budget.
Yeah.
If you hire a professional, it's going to cost X hundred a month. And very often people want to turn, the book sales into the money. So I would say almost don't rush. Let's get the feedback, get the community built. I think that's got to be the most important starting point.
So in terms of the community, I mean, how would you suggest people do that? I mean, obviously you've got some experience with Google Plus as it was, which is now changing a bit in terms of how it works. I mean, is it something like Google Collections, or should they be doing that on Facebook as well, or just everywhere that they think it's appropriate?
It's everywhere. So, I mean, I'm across all channels. So I'm very active on Twitter, I'm very active on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and on Google Plus. And, I've probably spent now certainly over 12,000 hours on social media generally. And I can say that what you do is you build relationships. And it doesn't matter where the attention is. If people relate to that thing, in other words, they like, or they +1, or they comment, or they share the content, what I say is anyone paying attention, you build the relationship with, and you step it up a level. So for me, we use Slack for community building right now because it's platform agnostic. In other words, anyone from Google Plus or LinkedIn or Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, or any other platform, they can then come into one place and have a relationship. We can run events and we can do things. And I think that if people can think of bringing people together wherever it works for the people that want to be brought together, then that's great. So if everybody's on Facebook, and I think Facebook ads is a very, very important thing in time for people to look at as well. But if everybody's on Facebook, then maybe setting up a private group to talk about the things that you're really into. Instead of trying to sell the book, build a community to have conversations around the subject matter. And then the book can be a natural sale off the back of it. That would be my view.
So in terms of you're obviously Mr. Google in some ways, what do you find the most exciting things that are happening in the world of Google at the moment?
Oh, it's all happening. I'm most excited because of a mobile optimization this week. So I'm working on the campaign with Google and spreading the word as a mobile expert on the importance of mobile speed. So we have a new testing tool, which I can give you a link to as well. And I think what's exciting is that we're all starting to connect the dots for our business. We've got so many tools. We've got Google Analytics, and so we've got AdWords, we've got Search, we've got Drive with production. It's like, well, how do we pull all this together and create a exciting, passionate, enthusiastic life through our business? And that's what I'm seeing happening as every year it becomes more integrated.
Okay. I was expected you to talk about VR and the sort of like Google Cardboard and things like that.
Well, we can. We can. Well, I didn't know how geeky you want me to get. So I'm excited about VR. I blog about virtual reality, and I think it's an area. I mean, I've gone deep into it for 2.5 years. I've been blogging on it, and this year I decided to note everything and write up everything, and then return to the real world and be putting programs together in the real world. Because at the moment, for an individual, unless you've got a VR company, unless you're a gaming company, it's much more the entertainment end than it is the monetized end. So I think we're early days with Joe Blogs, and me being Joe Blogs in that way, being able to turn that directly into money. And I think that one of the challenges we all have online is where our attention goes. And there are many, many rabbit holes we can fall down, and VR being one of them. And it's wonderful and it's entertaining. However, let's go back to, if you want to sell books and you want to be a writer, you want to get attention from big publishers, whatever it may be, then we have the social channels that are not in VR where people are, for instance, Twitter, LinkedIn, Google+, Facebook, and so on. So I think that we've got to make sure we don't transcend the current realms of technology and where people's time is being spent and attention is too quickly.
Yeah, well, I actually do sympathise with that. It's just that it tends to be people always go on about, VR's the future and the rest of it. Well, it is, but I'm not sure if it's more like 5-10 years in the future rather than next year. So,
but it's all. But the thing is, it's all that, Tim. You're right. We know Zuckerberg said that Facebook, the future's AR, VR, but we don't know what's going to happen with augmented reality really yet because we haven't had enough releases for the equipment. But with virtual reality, there are social platforms. We have VTime, we have Altspace, we have Oculus Social. We have all of these things springing up. I went in the other day and not a huge amount of people are using them. When I say not a huge, we're not talking millions. We're not even talking tens of thousands on some platforms. So what we need to do is go, okay, let's set an outcome for my business. What am I trying to achieve? And then what are the most effective ways to achieve that? at a price that I'm willing to pay. So how much is this is a key question, I think, Tim, is business. If somebody's selling books, they want to be writing, it's business. How many books do they want to sell? What is the price they're willing to pay in order to acquire a customer? And what advertising channels or marketing channels will allow them to achieve that? And if you say, I'm willing to pay $3 a customer, in other words, you've got a book that's priced at $10, let's say, and you know your cost on that, you know your margin on that, fantastic. How can you scale that? How can you get more people that you pay essentially $3 in order for them to buy your book, or you pay for the attention? So I think that getting the house in order so that you have pages, the web pages that convert, or making sure that your Amazon listing and your author bio and all of the images you use, everything is just absolutely top notch, is much more important for somebody who's writing than looking at what's coming next. It is coming next. It is going to be huge. But I think that there's also just a little bit of temper in the enthusiasm. And I'm an evangelist for many of these things. And Google will be playing a huge part of that. And the 50 million units of cardboard already sort of out there. But we already have what we need to succeed.
Okay. Going briefly back to Google Plus in general, do you think there are any particular sort of subject matters or areas where Google Plus is particularly strong? I mean, I know there is a bit of a feeling that traditional Google Plus is maybe not the up-and-coming network it was, but I've sort of heard anecdotally that some sort of technical areas and other areas that actually there are very big Google Plus communities still out there.
Oh, huge. There's huge communities. I mean, I think, and I'll say this about myself, I think that we are quite geeky.
Yeah.
On Google Plus. I think that there is that end of it. I think there are a lot of communities, and you go and look at a community. In fact, let's go through the process. You have an interest in something, or you're writing about something, you go to Google search, you search for that search term and the words Google Plus community. Just go and have a look how many people are in those communities. You get a list of them and go and find out. Because that straight away is a starting point to building relationships with people who are into those things that you're writing about or that you're into. And then you go and you engage with the people that are talking on the threads and sharing the threads and the people that are moderators in that community. And you +1 their comments if you relate to them, and you +1 their posts, and you follow them, and then they start to follow you back. That's an opportunity. So if people are there already, you go and find your brethren, really. And I think that's the opportunity is go and find where the engagement is. Now, if you start off on your own and you're just posting on your profile and you're not doing that sort of process, you're probably not going to go very far. So find people that are passionate, and the more passionate and more, I say professional, but the better you are at what you do, then the more likely it is that people's attention will go your way. And it's a network. You do follow people and you do connect with people exactly the same as we always did. It's just much more about those passions, about those verticals than ever before.
Something that I noticed on your blog, and I may have been reading too much into this, but have you got a suspicion that Google might take over Twitter or one of the other social media companies?
Just look at the facts. Moz reported last year, maybe this year, that around about 9% of search results were showing Twitter cards. And that's a lot of territory in Google to be given away to a third party. So let's have a look at the relationship that Twitter has already with Google. And there's only two pieces of information, fact-based. And the first one is that there's a fire hose deal that Google has access to all the data. And so basically just can do things. So it can look at the signals and it can also index all that content. The second piece of information is that there was an appointment within Twitter of an executive chairman that used to be in Google when they moved from Google to Twitter. And you look at it and you go, well, this is just interesting alignment of two large organizations. Twitter has never really managed to monetize their ads in the same way that Google does. Google really understands how to do that, how to turn attention into advertising revenue. So could there be something going on? Maybe. I've certainly encouraged my community to be on Twitter, to be engaging on Twitter. But then again, I've encouraged them to be all over all platforms. But that's all I know on that one, Tim.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things I think would be a good fit, but it's often the case of you hear companies and you think, oh, wouldn't it be great if so-and-so took over so-and-so? And it rarely happens.
It rarely happens. But also, one big thing I've learned over the years with the different projects that I've worked on with Google, is that they work on a much longer cycle of almost strategically than we do. Very often we can move quickly on things. They may take 18 months in order to put something into play. So we may suspect something, but actually, Google are just doing what they do in the background, So it's almost just go, okay, that would be interesting. And from a thought leader piece, if that was to happen, people go, oh, that's happened. And people have been talking about that. But what difference does it make apart from use the platforms?
True. Anyway,
moving on from that one.
Yeah. Well, that's just about used up my questions of everything I can think of about Google at the moment. How can people find out about you and get hold of all your various free courses and other things that you're looking to offer people at the moment?
Plusyourbusiness.com. And I'm Martin at plusyourbusiness.com. If anyone wants to email me, then they come directly through. And check out the YouTube channel. There's a lot of content around everything, social media marketing, Google and beyond. So, and we're very much about building authority. So there's a lot of blog posts that will help people to understand how to put the pieces together.
Okay. Well, it's very nice to talk to you today, Martin. Thanks a lot.
Take care.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed today's show, please stop by iTunes and rate and leave a review. This helps make the show more visible. For free resources, show notes, and other helpful content, join the community at beginselfpublishing.com.